Today we're going to discuss Michael's financial status during prologue and before the jewel store job, which I always felt was not 110% clear, at least not during the beginning like I said. I mean, we know that after the game all of the main characters are insanely rich, but when it comes to Michael in the beginning, at surface level, one might think like, oh, this dude's a fucking baller. He's got a giant ass mansion in Beverly Hills with a pool, a guy who does his yard work, a maid and whatnot. But see, Michael at this point in the story is pretty much broke, at least until the jewel store job. To help you understand this, let's take things back to prologue, even probably before prologue. So at the time of prologue though, Michael has spent the last 15 to 16 years robbing all across the US, and we know from a hangout with him and Trevor that Trevor says if you'd only taken a couple of million, your kids would have been dicks, but with your savings you were able to truly completely ruin them. Likely meaning that Michael's savings over the 15-16 years he spent robbing were more than just a couple of million. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a similar amount of money or more than the amount that each of the three main characters had after the big one. But yeah, during prologue in 2004, Michael had millions stashed away, and the first big expense that he had over the years was him paying Dave. During the mission case in the jewel store, Lester says that he knows that Michael sends Dave a 5-figure sum every single month to his bank account. Now, even if that sum was only $10,000, which we don't know for certain, it absolutely could be more, but even if it was only 10K, you're looking at, in the 9-year time period between prologue and the main game, a total of $1,080,000, which is a lot of fucking money. Now on to his major expenses. We know that his family were absolutely no strangers to spending all of that money like there is no tomorrow. Jimmy smokes a shit ton of weed, has what looks to be a very expensive Bowers & Wilkins sound system, a Les Paul guitar, and an amp that does not look cheap by any means. Also a big ass TV, gaming consoles, PCs, and whatnot else, without ever having a job. All of this shit couldn't have been cheap, that's what I'm trying to say. And who knows how many other times he bought a car with Michael's money and fucked up. That's only the one instance that we know about that he bought a car in complications or before complications. But Michael's wife Amanda was just the same. She spent a shit ton of money on bullshit like plastic surgery. She also has a BMW convertible, which on its own you have to be a fucking idiot to buy, but we'll leave my opinion on BMW for another video. But back on track, we do know also that Amanda and Tracy are known to be going on shopping sprees frequently. Michael's kids, which as seen in various family pictures, also went to private schools. And then arguably the most expensive part is the house that they all live in, which is a multi-million-dollar mansion in fictional Beverly Hills, like I said, and I'm just not talking about paying for the house itself. I'm also talking about paying for the people that maintain and clean this shit, as it's probably not cheap. Not even counting the bills. This house, combined with all the maintenance, you cannot tell me that that shit was cheap over the years. There's also the matter of Michael frequently gambling with the stock market, which Lester addresses a couple of times throughout the game's story. There's also Michael's therapy sessions, which constantly seem to be going up in price and are not cheap by any means. There's also Michael's boat, which is not a rented boat, it's his own private boat that he owns and that he keeps at the marina until it gets stolen in the Mission Father-Son. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's very cheap to store a boat at a marina, just my assumption. So between none of his family members or him working and being insanely irresponsible with their money, I think when you look at all those things collectively, it's very easy to see how over a course of 9 years, all of that money, even if it was like an astronomical sum of like 15 to 20 million, could have gone down the drain very easily. And if it wasn't for them all spending their money on stupid shit, Michael wouldn't have been in debt at the beginning, which we do know in some Switch scenes you can see Michael talking on the phone with someone and saying something along the lines of, hey, I'm good for the money, I'll pay my debt, I'll make the account good next week or something like that. And you can also hear at the ending of, I think the mission is marriage counseling, when Michael says to Franklin, oh man, I'm mortgaged up to my eyeballs, essentially that he's drowning in debt. And when you look at all that, it's very clear when you put it in perspective that Michael's financial situation at the beginning of the game, like I said, at least until the jewel store job, was not the greatest. On the surface, he was a guy who had it all, but in reality, his bank account was just as broken as his relationship with his family. With that said, I want to thank you for watching this video. Leave a like on it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, that all helps me out a lot. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Also go down to the description, check out my channel memberships and my second channel, which is where the Kingdom Hearts content is nowadays. And until next video stream, bye bye.